Hello and good day to you. You're once again welcome to MES on Constructions, where we'll discuss all things engineering, architecture, and 3D modeling. Today, we'll be learning in AutoCAD how to use your tools that are available for you to, begin your project in AutoCAD. But before further ado, we encourage you to subscribe to our channel for more content like this, and also don't forget to turn on your notification bell to be the first to see our latest video tutorials on AutoCAD and how to use AutoCAD for architectural to the architectural drawing. Now let's get right to it. Now we have our AutoCAD interface right here, and you might want to do well before you begin anything to go down here to turn on your grid. It helps you to be able to work better with precision. And today we'll be learning about how to use the tools in AutoCAD. And you have this your tool panel right here, and you have this for drawing lines, you have this for drawing polylines, you have this for drawing circles, and you have this for drawing arcs. Then you have this for drawing a rectangle. When you click on it, you can also draw polygons. You can choose rectangular polygons. You also have this for drawing axis and axis centers and ellipses and all that. Then you have this for drawing arches, gradients, and boundaries. Now what we'll be focusing on today is what's all the tools that are right here. And when you look at the tools right here, it begins with this, and this says move. This tool allows you to be able to move your object. So let's just try to draw an object right now and see how we can use the tool right there to work on the object. I chose a line and I'm going to give it, let's just give it 7 units. Let's give it 7 units. Let me give it 7 units. Enter. Then I can go ahead to reference this because I want to draw something that looks like a square, and I can escape. So I have this object right here. As you can see, this object is right here. So I want to click everything. I want to move all these objects. While you can actually move the object by left clicking, I'm going to move right here. You can see that you also have the move right here. Let's try to use this tool to move it, and you need to pick a reference point. So I can pick this as my reference point, I can pick this as my reference point, all this. And the idea of picking a reference point is that it helps you to be able to accurately or precisely move your object from one point to another. So let's move this from here. I'm moving it and choosing this reference point. I want to move it by, let's say, 10 units of AutoCAD, and you see that I've moved it by 10 units. And when you go to the command center, it will tell you that it gives you the information on what you just did, and you can see specify second point, first point as displacement. So it has been displaced by 10 units. So when I press Ctrl Z, you see this is where it was initially. In case maybe you just want to double check that, you can draw maybe another line, and let's just give it 10 units also. So because you began the line here, and by the time you move this, you see that it will be actually moved to the end of the line. First and foremost, you can just try to let's move it by 10 units first. So let's move it. I'm not moving it. I'll be using this tool to move it, and yeah, let's move it by 10. Just type 10 in the command center, and you can see that it has moved by 10. And the reason why it's like this is because using this as a reference point, if you are moving it by 10, it means that this particular reference point is going to move by 10, and what you're not going to be having is a leftover of 10 minus the entirety of this, which is 7. So you'll be having 3. And now let's measure this. So if I want to measure this now, I want to measure from here to here. Can you see that it's 3 that is remaining? And that's how it works, because the entirety of the square is actually 7, and we move from a reference point, from that reference point by 10. So definitely it's going to be 10 minus 7, which is going to be 3. So but if you want to move the entirety of this to the end of this line that we drew, is going to be 17. That will be 10 plus 7, which is going to be 17. That you are moving this entire this entire square to this side. This is 10, this is 7, so you have to move it 10 plus 7, that's 17. You could also do that by just simply taking this, move, and then take from this side and bring it down here to the end of this, or just type 17 and you have it there. So you still have this as 10, and when you click it, say move to the end of this. So that's just all about our move tool. So now we can go to this tool right here. This tool is for rotation, and what it does is actually just what it is. It rotates. So now you can decide to take this square, and then when you press rotate, what it does is that it also asks for your reference point. So you could pick any of these particular reference point, and you could also pick something that is completely different as a reference point. And when you pick something, maybe the center or something as a reference point, you are not actually going to be rotating anything, as you can see what I'm doing right now. So now if you want to rotate it properly, you need to pick a good axis. So let's pick something like this, and you see that when I pick this one, I can easily rotate it along that axis that I've picked, along the edge that I've picked. As you can see now, if I'm rotating like this, I'll just click like this, because sometimes you can type, sometimes you can just restart and use your mouse button. Let's go to polar mode, not this, yeah, let's enable our polar mode, and let's rotate this. So you can always rotate. Let's select first, and let's rotate. So you can see that it's now rotating in a way that you could actually choose any of the angles, and this is because we enabled our polar mode. The polar mode works in a way that depends on whatever you are choosing. Like this option now gives us the opportunity to rate it as 30, 60, 90, 120, and you could also change this to you could choose any of these for the tracking of your rotation, and then you have it there. So let me go back to enable my auto mode. So now let's go on ahead to this, and this is the trim tool. The trim tool has two options in it. You have the trim and the extend. So the trim, what the trim basically does is that when you click on the trim, it helps you to get rid of unwanted edges like this. As you can see, now I've trimmed this off. So I can escape and Ctrl Z and to bring it back. Then you can always use your trim. It's just more like it helps you to be able to remove lines that are not needed in objects. So it helps you to remove excess lines. Maybe you add a line drawn in excess of what is needed. The trim tools helps you to get rid of it. The extend tools helps you to link objects. And let's take this back by 3. So now I want to use this tool. As you can see, this is what it does. So now what it does is that it links this object to join this object. Once you click on the extend, what it does is extend this to intersect with this and stops there, as you can see. So we have a full line right here intersecting with this, and that's what the extend does. It helps you to join the lines together. So let's say I want to extend this. You click it, you can see that it's showing, it's kind of connecting. Yeah, so it's kind of connecting. Yeah, so you can also link these objects together, and that's what the extend object does. So we have that, and then we can move on to the erase. Erase basically just removes objects, and as you can see here, it says removes objects from a drawing. That's what erase does, almost like what the trim does too. And so you can remove this, and once you press you can press, then you left click, and then you press enter, and once you press enter, whatever you have removed has been removed. So I'm going to replace it by using Ctrl Z, and from the erase we have this. This is actually just basically copy. It helps to copy objects, and when you click on it, you choose what you want to copy. So let's say I want to replicate this line. I want to duplicate it and have a similar line down here. I'll go and then let me escape first. I want to duplicate this line and have a similar line down here. What I'll do is I'll go to the copy tool and then click on this, and then I'll have to pick a reference line, and I'll make this my reference line because that's the kind of position I want it to be on the below. So I take this and then snap it here as well, and then you can see that I have a different line right here. I can also do the same for this. I can also do the same for this by clicking on the copy tool, click here, then press enter, and then I go here, or I can go here, just to have a reference point that tallies with this, then I go here and snap it right here, and you see that I have everything well drawn right here now. I've replicated this line here, and I've replicated this line here to form a rectangle, and then I have a rectangle, and then I have a square right here. So now the next tool here now is the mirror tool. What the mirror tool does is that it basically mirrors your object. So, and as you can see it right here, it helps your object be inverted, and the beautiful thing about the mirror tool is that it can actually invert your object in different ways. You know, you can have it inverted in whatever what will I say, is it angle that you want it to be. And let's try to use it. So I'll be trying to mirror this object. Let's try to mirror this object, the entire object, so that you see. So you press enter, and then you choose a reference point, and you can see that you can mirror it, you know, the other way around to go up. You can also mirror it to go to the side. You can mirror it to go down. It's not agreeing with me to go down though. So, but you know, that's just how mirror works. You can mirror it towards the side, and you can also mirror it towards the side. So you can see this is mirroring at 0 degree, while this is mirroring at 270. I don't know why it's not mirroring at anything below that. But if you want to mirror, let's assume you want to mirror, yeah, you can also mirror along this axis too. Let's see how that works. Yep. So you can see that this also mirrors down like this, and then you have this drawn. So that's the advantage of mirror. And in order to enable your mirror, you need to press enter, and once you press enter, you have your mirrored object right here. You know, this is just like rotating the object in a way, in a certain way, but I prefer to just let us have it straight up like that, and let's try to mirror the object in a way that inverses, you know, what we have, creates an inverse of what we have. So enter, then you pick a reference point. So I'm picking this reference point again, and I'm mirroring it here, you understand, and then I press enter. So that's what the mirror tool does. So when you have things that, let's say we have something like let's say we have something like, let me just go here, since we are not here yet, so but let me try to just draw something like this, just to enable us to see what the mirror does. So now let's say I want to mirror this now. I'll just go here. So let's mirror, then choose it, then enter, then I pick a reference point, and I press enter. Then you can see that I have this, what I have here, I have it mirrored the other way. So you can see what the mirror does now, what the mirror tool does. So I don't really need this, I just use it to get this example dusted. I'm not sure, yeah, I do have this, just this I don't have. So now you have that. So now from the mirror we can go now to the fillet, to the, I think it's fillet 2, yeah, it's fillet 2, it's basically fillet 2. This is the main tool here. So but you have fillet, you have chamfer and blend curves, and I think you have an idea what the blend curve does. So what the fillet does is that it connects edges together. Let's say we have something like this. Let's escape first, because it helps to create a curve around the edges. Then I can now fillet both lines. See, once I click on this, I have this line right here, the fillet line right here, and you can see that's what the fillet does. It helps you to create this kind of curve around the object, and you can do it very easily. So that's what the fillet does. So now let's go to the chamfer. The chamfer is kind of, you know, very tricky, because it deals more with different lines, you know, joined together. If you want to join this particular line, instead of having it straight like this, and you want to kind of, you know, create a bevel, that's what the chamfer does. So now I can take this and maybe add a little bit of line to it. Yeah, let me add one to it, and this as well. So let's add one to that. So we have this, and we have this, and we have this. So let's see, to chamfer this, you can go to the chamfer and then click on this, and then click on this, and you can see that it gives us that edge, that we want here, the beveled edge that we want here. So that's what the chamfer does. It helps us to create a bevel on our edge. So the third one right here now is blend curves, and we've already touched blend curves the other time. It helps to create something like a bevel, but at the edge looking like a fillet. So if you want to use blend curves, you can use it for somewhere around there. Let's make this 2, and then let's make this go back a little bit, let's say 2 also. So now if you want to create like a curve that joins both of these together, you can easily use the blend curves. And what you need to do now is to just select this and select this, and you can see that they are now properly bonded together. And as you can see, it said create a tangent or smooth plane between the endpoints of 2 open curves. So that's what it does. That's what the blend curve does. So that's what this tool is for. So now we can go to this tool. Now what this tool does is explode. It's basically for breaking components of polyline. You can also break components of a block. And as you can see now, objects that can be exploded include blocks, polylines, and regions, among others. So let's say you have this particular drawing here. We have this object here. We can convert this easily to a polyline by just using join J. So you press J to just look for join, and once you click on it, you see that it's already acting like a single object. So now if you want to like resolve what this is now, you don't want it to be a single object again, what you just need to do is to press this explode, and then you have all the objects acting as single, all parts of the object are acting as single entity the way they were initially drawn, and not as a polyline. So that's what that does. You can use it to also dissolve or to destroy a block into its constituent lines and edges, objects that actually make up the block. So now coming here, we have stretch. What the stretch usually does is that it helps to move parts of the geometry. So let's now clicking this, guys can see it moves a part of the geometry, and let's say we want to stretch this. See, it also moves the parts of your geometry. Use parts of your geometry. So that's what it basically does. Even though here it states that it also, I'm trying to see if you can get the details. So stretches objects crossed by a selection window or polygon. So now it says objects that are partially enclosed by crossing windows are stretched. Objects that are completely enclosed within the crossing window or that are selected individually are moved rather than stretched, and that's what we are experiencing. So sometimes of objects such as circles, ellipses, and blocks cannot be stretched, so they can only be moved. So now let's see if let's try again. As you can see, we have this object just moving up and down, but if this is an object that is actually connected as a single object, it's just going to be stretched. And you have your stretch also, which can be done manually by just simply clicking on an object and using the stretch option here, and you can see that you can always easily stretch your object. We've been using it since to reduce the lines before we added all these other tools. So I can stretch this by 3, and then I press enter, and you can see that it has been stretched by 3. And if you go here to measure what you have, you see that what we have here is just 3, as you can see. So now you can also take it and stretch it back by clicking on it and bringing it back and snapping it to where it was before. So that's the stretch tool right here. Now this one is actually the scale tool, and it helps to scale the object. It enlarges or reduces selected objects, keeping the proportions of the object the same after scaling. So now to scale, now you just need to click on this, then you click on the objects that you want to scale. So once you select all the objects, you can press enter, then you need to select the reference. So you can scale with respect to, let's say we scale with respect to this reference, which means whatever we are doing is going to be with respect to that reference. So you can type what you want to scale by also in the command center. Let's say I want to scale this down. Let's say I want to scale it down by 0.5. I'll just type 0.5, then I press enter, and it uses the reference point as the reference point for scaling this. And since the reference point is actually somewhere around there, it scales everything I have with respect to this reference point. And then you have that. Then you can also scale up, because I scaled down, you can also scale up. Now this is actually also a very important tool. Rectangular array. You have rectangular array, you have path array, you have polar array. The array can help you in designing your paper for architectural drawings, because once you design a single paper, you might use the array to actually make the paper a duplicate, because the papers usually needs to have details, and some of these details are repetitive. So instead of you copying every single paper you have designed for your architectural drawing, architectural document, you might just array them and then insert your drawings individually in them without having to edit much of the details in the papers. So what this does is that, let's say we have something like this. So I want to array this. So, and once you click on array and you click on the objects that you want to array, let's select all these objects and then let's make them our array object. So press enter and you can see that what it does is that it creates copies of what you selected. And you can see that you have 4 columns here, 3 rows, and then you have distance between them. That's distance between them, the columns, the distance between the rows, total distance and all that. Then you have the labels and all that. Now once you are finished doing this, you can just close the array. That's how to use your rectangular arrays. If you are using your path array, this one creates arrays along the particular path. Basically, the array for the path actually draws along the path, while the polar draws, evenly distributes copies around. So this actually can be used for drawing, things like, let's say, chairs. This polar array can be used, as you can see, can be used for drawing things like tables, round tables, and chairs around it. Like if you draw a particular chair and you want the chair to have a table which it will be surrounded by, you can always use this polar array. Path array too is very useful and can be useful for drawing things around something that looks like a path. So it even distributes copies along a path. That's what it does. And this last one is offset. What the offset really does is that it helps to create concentric circles, parallel lines, and parallel curves around your object. And for instance, let's say we have something like let me draw something new and make this 7, just like we did for the other one, 7. Then let's connect this and connect this. So you have this. So let's say we want to offset this line. Like if you want to offset this particular line, what you just need to do is to click on this, and then you click a reference point, and then click another reference point, then you offset. But you can see that it's offsetting by 7. You can edit this and make it, let's say you want to draw an architectural design, you want the wall to be 225, so you can just type 0.225 there, and then it brings it outside here, and that is because we projected outside. If you want it to be projected inside, you can still click on this and then bring it inside and press 0.225, and you can know that you keep offsetting until you press enter. And once you press enter, the offset goes away, and then you can manipulate your drawing whatever way you want. So this one, now we have something like this, so I can decide to just move this. Can decide to move it. You can see we have move here, or move button here. We also have move button up there. So I'm using the move button here, and that's button after I right click, because I want this to be outside. So I'm just gonna move it by 0.45 and press enter. Then I also want an offset here, and I want an offset here. So I can just go to my offset here and then click here and click here. So, and then I take this, then I type this to be 0.225, and then I have that. Then what I want to do for this place is that I don't want to offset. What I can just do here is to take this, and once again I can use this to copy it, and I can also go here to copy it. So I'm going to copy this, and then I'll take this as my reference and bring it here and bring it to 0.225. 225 and press enter. As you can see, it still does the same job. And then I can take this and stretch it, understand, to merge with this, understand. Then I can take this and also stretch it to match with this. I can also take this and stretch it to match with this, and then I take this and use my extend to make them, match together. I don't know why it's not working. As you can see, now it works. So as you can see, we are using all those tools, together, and they are working pretty well. So you can take this also, snap here, bring them here, and you can use this to join this to this, and then you can take this, bring it down here. It's still stretch. You are stretching the line, and you take this and then use this to press this and then join together, and then we have this wall that has been properly offsetted 225 by 225 by 225. Now we can also do this in a different way and in a much faster way, and that's, let's try it. I'm going to just copy this, so you can use the copy here and I can also use the copy here. So we have this here now. Now if I want my offset to just work on this once and for all, what I need to do is to join all these lines, and once I join the lines, what I have is a polyline, and then I can use the offset to just create this block wall once and for all without having to take multiple steps to achieve the same result like we did the last time. And I'm going to try that right now. So I'm going to join this together by pressing J in my command center, and I join, and you can see now it's now a polyline. And what I need to do now is to manipulate the distance, which I want to be 0.225, and then I press enter, and then you have what you have here without really going through multiple stress as it was last time. So I can press escape, and then I have the same thing I have here, right here. And that's it. And I hope you're able to learn a thing or two in the tutorial for today. We encourage you to subscribe to our channel for more contents like this on AutoCAD, how to use AutoCAD, and also how to use AutoCAD for architectural 2D designs. And don't forget to turn on the notification bell to be the first to see our latest video tutorials on AutoCAD. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.